Okay, my name is Asalai. I'm from Kyrgyzstan. I don't know whether you know this country. I mean, in other languages, you call it Kyrgyzstan or Kyrgyzstan is in Central Asia.
Mhm.
My anxiety started when I started to work, doing together PhD and working, which influenced a lot my mental health.
And just explain what has brought you to this mental health obstacle that you encountered.
Okay, start with a generalized anxiety disorder. I think it began last year, like prerequisites start last year, but real symptoms I start to feel in January this year. Like there was panic attacks, I had always lump in the throat, I was catastrophizing all the thoughts which I had. Like we were driving the car and I was thinking, oh no, now we will crash. Or we were driving on the serpentine, right? You call it on the mountain. And I think, okay, now we will fall. We
Mhm.
will fall from this mountain and we'll crash. Like that's kind of things which were so scary. And it started to develop in phagophobia, which appeared in, I guess, in March this year. Since I had a lump in the throat, my muscle was so tense that I couldn't swallow properly, and I was so scared that I thought that, oh no, I forgot how to swallow. I didn't have a fear of choking, but I had a fear that I cannot swallow. I forgot how to swallow. This was so scaring.
With me, I'd say I had a little experience there too. And what started that fear of what it was swallowing and then the fear of choking for me was that I would hear on the news people dying because they were choking on food, and then
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
assume, okay, that's going to be me next. And what happened there was I began to focus on exactly what's going on in my throat. And
yeah,
I was
yes.
eating. I was like, oh my God, this feels kind of weird. And before I wouldn't think anything of, eating, I'll just eat fine. But now I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm taking bite by bite. Is kind of feels weird. I feel like it's not going all the way down. Um,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and and certainly that brought a lot of anxiety because I would say, oh,
Yeah.
I must be choking. I'm alone. There's no one that could help me, and then that would lead into a panic attack for me.
Yes, exactly.
So, what would you say were your symptoms when you felt this anxiety from the phagophobia?
I remember exactly that day, when I was so scared of swallowing. I was There was a lot of stress from my work. My work was very stressful. At the same time, it was a remote work, and as I understood, remote work influenced a lot my mental health. At the same time, I was trying to meet all deadlines for my PhD thesis. Like there was a lot of pressure. I just moved to a new country, to a small city where I didn't have friends. I mean, there was a lot of things all together. And I remember that day I was so stressed in March this year. I was sitting for dinner. I was very tired, exhausted, and I was eating the orange. And I remember that it stuck there and I
Mhm.
cannot swallow. And I was so scared. I was thinking, no, I forgot how to swallow. What is happening? I didn't understand. And I started to Google, as all of us doing, like with our anxiety, we started to Google.
Mhm.
Okay, I started to Google and like I didn't know what is it. I just say, is it possible to forget how to swallow? And
Mhm.
there were different stuff like dysphagia, but dysphagia, as I understood, is happening when you had a physical problem.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if you had heart attack or something. And I think, no, I didn't have such stuff. Like, why I have this thing? And I found somewhere that it's called dysphagia, which is called phagophobia at the same time.
Mhm.
So I was looking and I didn't understand like how to heal this. I and as I said, I'm a researcher and I started to research academic sources. But I mean, this happened later when I was so tired of this problem, and I thought, okay, I need to take everything in my hands because I cannot live in this way. I cannot like go with people, and I cannot eat with them. Like it's so awful. I cannot socialize. I was even sitting in the kitchen with my husband, and I was waiting when he will finish because I was scared that I will forget to swallow again.
Mhm.
I was waiting when he will finish, and I was eating alone, and it took me like 1 hour and a half to finish. So, and when I started to look for these academic sources, I found that there were mental health professionals who help people. No, they were doing kind of experiments, let's say, to fix this phagophobia, and they start to how to say categorize different methods that they use to heal people. And I found that in 90% they were helping with exposure therapy. And I say to that time as well, I started to work with my mental health professional as well. And as she didn't know what is it, she didn't help me so much. And I say her, I need to do exposure therapy. And she say, oh, okay, you can do. I mean, she didn't help so much, and I started to do myself. So this is how I came to my own therapy.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's definitely good. I think when it comes to exposure therapy, we have to put our part in
Yes.
overcoming this fear. There's only so much that a mental health therapist could tell us, but at the end, it's us that have to expose ourselves. And at first, it can be scary. It can be really scary, and I've experienced
Yes.
that. I've experienced doing something that has that I know was going to fear me, but I knew that it was going to help me. It was going to help me overcome this fear. And I'd say for myself, when it came to phagophobia, back when I had that fear of choking from swallowing food, I would go ahead and look at other people and how they eat. I would say, what
Mm.
perhaps might be going through their mind when they're eating. And, I would observe and see like probably, they're not really thinking much of eating, but rather on other things. So
Yeah.
so just getting familiar with that and exposing yourself in that environment where there are other people who are just eating just casually, not thinking about choking, but also learning, like you said, doing research on how exactly you should eat and swallow.
Mm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to food, we sometimes chew very less than we should. We should probably chew more. Like that, the food will go down. But that's not to say that we're going to choke and die. That's
Yes.
something that a fear that can run through our head. When we have anxiety, and just like I said, exposing and just kind of really understanding that you can only do so much with yourself, that you have to kind of accept that what, I did everything I could. I chewed, I'm swallowing, and now I know that if I still fear this lump in my throat, that it's my anxiety, because
Mm-hmm.
my anxiety could tell me as many negative things to me, but I know that I chewed and I swallowed. So whatever it is, go ahead. And like I said, you accept the anxiety. So it's like, okay, if
Yeah.
if I'm choking, then okay, I guess I'm choking then. But I did what I need to do. I chewed, I swallowed. So, if that's gonna happen, so be it. And then with that acceptance comes, the feeling that, what, the anxiety goes away. And it does, it does help.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like telling your anxiety, okay, anxiety, go ahead and I guess, do what I'm scared of. I guess you're if I'm scared of choking, then go ahead and choke me. But I know that I ate my food and I'm good. And that's one big massive step to take when it comes to exposure. But it does work wonders. And then just going into your TikTok, what has inspired you from this TikTok? What have you learned? What have you felt ever since making your TikTok channel?
I mean, my TikTok channel is not so famous. I just started for myself, because in August, I start to feel much better, especially from my generalized anxiety. I start to feel like that I'm getting more with people. I getting less anxious when I get out. Like when I got anxiety, I start to have a lot of weird phobias which I never had before, like to fly. I used to fly a lot in my life and I was never scared. But with anxiety, I start to think like, oh no, should I go to this plane? Maybe it will crash. Like I was scared of driving in the car. I was scared, I don't know, to just to walk on the street, which is crazy. I had a lot of stuff, and in August, I start to feel that I start to be less and less anxious about such stuff because I exposed myself also to such stuff, not only to food. And in August, I thought, okay, let me try to open a channel just to share my progress, to see myself, what I'm going through, and to share some knowledge, because I think all of us who went through anxiety, we know a lot of stuff. Like we read so many books, so many videos, I don't know, and it's good because we can share some knowledge, which even some mental health professionals, they don't know such stuff. So this was the first thing. And then I start to see that there are so many people with phagophobia, and almost every day I receive some messages from, I don't know why, but most of them there are girls. There are girls sending me messages asking like, oh, I see some hope from you, because I thought that I will never go through phagophobia, that I will live with this all my life. And when I see your channel, I thought that I can do something and it's possible to recover. And they ask some tips, and I see that it's good to share. And I make some videos.
Yeah, that's very good. Certainly when we have this anxiety, we sometimes think that it's just ourselves and no one else has it. But when we go ahead and share and kind of look, there's a lot of people that have the same type of issue. And then like I said, that's what I think inspires others, is that seeing that they're not alone, that there's other people who had the same problem but have recovered. So certainly that's what I believe, that sharing stories definitely helps each other out, and knowing that they're not alone. But like I said, it's very inspirational to see how you said what you've done so far, and then you have the anxiety that you overcame, but you have not let it affect you. You, instead of just giving up, you found other ways to go ahead and overcome these symptoms. And one thing I always like to point out with anxiety is that there are many, like I said, many phobias that you never thought you'd be scared of, that just come to you. And I think that's with anxiety. It tries to find different ways to affect you. So once the anxiety knows that you no longer fear this, it will try to find a different way to scare you.
Yeah.
And that's also another thing with acceptance, is that everyone has anxiety. Everyone has anxiety, but they have different levels of anxiety. And it's not to say that I don't want to have anxiety ever again. That's kind of impossible. We'll always have some anxiety, and anxiety necessarily doesn't have to be a bad thing. We can have anxiety if we do something so great or are very excited. Anxiety can still come. So certainly that's a big part, is acceptance that anxiety will be in our lives, but we can control how much it affects us. And with proper practice and obviously proper research, just like what you have with your TikTok channel, as other people looking at your stuff, your content, they can get much more knowledge and much more information on trying to overcome the fear that they have with their mental health. But certainly, like I said, yeah, it's such a true inspiration. And how long has it been since you want to say you've had this from the start of this phobia till the end?
Okay, it started in March.
Okay.
This phobia, till let's say till the beginning of July, I was going like this. I was trying a lot of things, nothing helped me, meditation, like a lot of stuff helped me for my anxiety, but didn't help for phagophobia. I always had this tense throat. I was trying to relax my throat, but every time when I saw food, it became tense again. So I was so tired that it was getting worse and worse. Sometimes I was scared to swallow my saliva, which was so scaring. One night I remember that I had a feeling which was so scaring that I thought that my tongue doesn't fit in my throat and I will choke. Like in the night I woke up with a panic attack because of this. And one day in July, in the beginning of June, I said to myself, like, no, enough is enough. I cannot live in this way. I mean, if I stay in this way all my life, I mean, I would better die. So And I started to search for these articles. I found they were giving some details how you go through exposure, making a list of the food which you will which are you scared less than others, and go step by step. So and in July I began this. I gave to myself a specific timeline, like let's say 3 months to recover. And in July I was so scaring. Like every day I was scared with food, sitting for 30 minutes without but I say to myself, I will not stand before I finish. And I was sitting and scared so much. I was using all my techniques to relax my muscle in the throat. Every time I swallow, I become tense, and I make again relaxation technique. Then I close my eyes sometimes and I imagine, like, which I suggest also to other people who struggle with phagophobia, how to say, it's not called imagine, it's called visualization. When you visualize that this food is going calm, is going straight to your stomach without any scaredness. And sometimes this thing helped me as well. I noticed that one by one, but let's say all July was going like, one day was good, one day not good, and I was thinking, no, I don't know if it's going to help me. But I try to be consistent, which I suggest to people as well. You need to be consistent because this thing will not disappear in one day. You need at least, I don't know, for me, it took at least 1 month to see the progress. So all July, it was going like this. And in August, when I started my channel, I saw that it became to be progressive, that I see that like all day I can eat so super calm. Only in the evening, sometimes I had this fear because I guess all people with anxiety in the evening, since they're tired, their brain is exhausted, and it tried to be more controlling, your brain. Mm-hmm. So, and in August, I saw some progress. In September, I saw even more progress. Let's say in September, I was eating almost everything, except, let's say, when I was traveling with a plane, I was very tired. On that day, I had the phagophobia, some episodes. And in October, now it's this month, which all months I'm eating without any scare, without any fear. I'm eating everything. Even when I'm tired, I'm eating super calm, super, how to say, smoothly. I'm eating around people. I'm going to a restaurant to eat. I'm perfect. So it took me officially, let's say, 3 months to come to this condition.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, no, certainly.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's not a 1-day fix. It takes some time to certainly practice, but be consistent. That's one thing that some people don't see, is that anxiety, it takes practice. It's just like learning a new skill. It takes practice, consistency, and obviously gaining more knowledge. So when you were having this phagophobia, this when you were eating something and the anxiety came, the phagophobia, would you say anything to yourself to kind of relieve you, to tell you that it's not what you think it is?
Yeah, I shared them on my channel as well. It's one of the main tips which I used, which I'm not a professional, let me know if I'm wrong, that I think reframing thoughts is a part of CBT, right? Mm-hmm. Of cognitive behavioral therapy. The thing helps a lot because our brain is always scared. It's consistently scared when we are in anxiety. It sees danger in everything. That's why we need to teach our brain that not everything is danger. And we see food, we need to say to our brain, for example, this food is not danger. You are going to swallow smoothly, calmly. Food is something that I will enjoy. Like I share a list, I guess yesterday, with a reframe thoughts, which people, they can go to look. And I use ChatGPT to generate this, which I suggest as well. ChatGPT is a good thing to help you with your mental health problems. But of course, you need to be careful. You need to always double check information on ChatGPT.
Yes, that indeed. And what would you say one tip or trick for someone who, let's say, is eating something and then all of a sudden they just feel this anxiety? What would you say is one helpful tip or trick that they could do at the moment?
I don't know. I used several stuff when I was scared in the beginning. As I said, I was using muscle relaxation for my throat because it's always tense. And since it's tense, it seems that food is not going down. So even when I was eating, every single spoon I put in my mouth, I was doing this relaxation, even if it took me for 1 hour. Then I was trying to visualize. I closed my eyes and think that now I will swallow smoothly. And it helped a lot. And reframing thoughts. Every time when I chew, during chewing, you think, okay, now this food stuck in my throat, I will forget how to swallow. And you need to accept this thought, not do anything, and then reframe the thought and say to yourself, no, now I'm going to swallow good. Food, I enjoy food. Food is so great. It helps my body, etc. The three things I was doing from the beginning.
Yeah, and I know one thing for me was that I would to make sure that I guess to kind of bring relief to me would be to yawn. So like when you yawn, like
yes,
your throat expands. So,
yeah,
it provides much more space like that. It can be a bit more flow. And, as long as I did that, it would kind of bring some relief for me that, what, I'm not choking. And, there's flow going, but also, kind of just reminding myself that if I'm choking, then I wouldn't be able to talk. I wouldn't be able to do these things at the moment. I would be just gasping for air and not being able to really move. So that just would also help me just reassuring that I'm able to speak, and if I'm speaking, I'm breathing. And I guess that's also one other fear where like you said, like can you forget how to swallow, can you forget how to breathe, is one fear that I had at one point. And certainly with the anxiety, it can make you think that way. And anxiety is like the mind is such a powerful tool, and that's what people say, and it can make you feel something that is actually not true, but make you feel like it really is true. And like I said, all these changes of, like I said, accepting the anxiety all begins, with the mind. And, obviously telling yourself that I'm in control of my body. I'm in control of swallowing. I have chewed my food. I enjoy the food, and I'm going to like it. So once you're a bit more, you have more control of yourself, then then the anxiety will fade away. So it is very, very, I can relate to what you were saying about what you have gone through during this phagophobia, and what has gone through your mind when you were swallowing, when you were eating food. But no, certainly I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and explain to the viewers their your experience and how they could perhaps relate and learn from you. So just to go over, where can the viewers of Just My Anxiety find your content?
What do you mean, like in which social media?
Yeah. So where do you where can they find you?
Only TikTok. I don't make another channels. I mean, actually, only my family they knew about this problem, so I share it only just on TikTok.
TikTok, okay. All right, yeah, I'll put that on the caption when I upload this video, so people can obviously look at your content and go from there.
Yeah.
But certainly, I appreciate your time and you sharing the story. It truly is inspirational, and it definitely will be inspirational for other people to see as well. Others that perhaps may also have the same type of phobia, and certainly learn from you. And like I said, just seeing people who have gone through this and have recovered and are just continuing, achieving whatever they want to achieve in their lives and the profession is certainly something very motivational. And that's one thing that I strongly like to advocate in Just My Anxiety, is that the reason why we call it Just My Anxiety is because it's not going to control us. It's something very small, but we are much bigger than the anxiety. If
Yes,
that
of
makes sense.
course.
But
May I add,
uh,
sorry, I want to add one more thing
mhm.
about anxiety, about phagophobia. When I had phagophobia and I was really desperate, I was very tired or exhausted like certain days, and I couldn't use all my techniques. I just say to myself, okay, anxiety, you can do whatever you want. I mean, I know you read it in all anxiety books. You just say, okay, phagophobia, do whatever you want, anxiety, do whatever you want. I will not control my throat, doesn't matter. And this thing helped as well a lot, I don't know, maybe it will help to other people as well. And of course, you need to be always consistent. Like, you don't need to drop on one day. You need to go every day, even if you see the progress, you need to continue to do this. Like, yesterday, I don't know, Anxiety Guy,
Yes.
the channel of Anxiety Guy. Yes, yesterday he posted a nice quote saying that if you clean your best tube once, it doesn't mean that it will be clean always. So you need to be always consistent. Like, I noticed as well last week that I didn't do any of my practices for anxiety. And in the end of the week, I started to feel that it started to grow a bit. And I thought, okay, it's because I didn't do anything. You need to always be mindful about your body, not even if you recovered. So this is what I want to add.
Yes, certainly. And that, the way I like to also see anxiety is that the progress, the journey is always, it should be one step forward, two steps back. So by that, I mean, don't all of a sudden think, okay, I'm cured from anxiety. Anxiety will try its hardest to come back at you. So you always want to be prepared. So don't be surprised if one day the anxiety just feels like a lot to you, and then you feel like, oh man, like I feel like everything I've learned has just gone to waste. No, certainly, like I said, anxiety will try its very hardest to stay alive within you, but of course, what you have learned, it is progress still, and it's just a challenge. So instead of taking it as something bad, take it as a challenge. Okay, anxiety wants to challenge me. I'm ready for this challenge. That's one thing. Yep. And and thank you so much for pointing that out. But certainly, like I said, I look forward to, watching more of your content, and certainly seeing your channel grow. Like I said, I'm inspired. I like the content that you have, and certainly can't wait to see what else you have to share with us all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.